All right, everybody. Hope y'all are having a great day. Happy almost end of the week. Let's go ahead and drop down some majors, different programs you're on, or just different work experiences. I'm so happy to have everyone here. FormAWin is just something that's been brewing up for a long time, so this is going to live here for a while. Everyone is going to be seeing this. Everyone is going to be taking part of history for the history of FormAWin. There are going to be so many new things coming as part of this, and we're going to get into a lot of different things today. We're going to go over the whole agenda, but I mean, again, I just hope everyone's having a great day. I mean, everything in our lives we need to take great appreciation for, especially everything going on around us, especially getting set up for this live. First off, this is the first live that we've done as a FormAWin team, so there were some technical difficulties before, but we managed, we got through it. My wife actually helped me out, so thankfully she was here to help out and get through this. But we're here now, we're ready to rock and roll. And again, with everyone's day, everyone's weekends, make sure you guys are always working hard. We're going to be getting into a lot of what FormAWin is about. And just one big thing for me that's upcoming is we're moving. We're opening a FormAWin office in our next place we're going to here. So really looking forward to that. And again, just drop down some schools you guys are part of, drop down some different um, work that you guys work on, anything. We're beginning to start here just a second. All right, guys. So let's get into it. Whatever your career goals are, whatever it is right now, I want you guys to make sure you guys have a pen, piece of paper. That's going to be the big thing here. I'm going to start off on the chalkboard, actually. I'm going to make this pretty simple so you guys can see it and understand that we're not going to go spend too much time on this. This is just a little extra thing I wanted to add. Typically, we run through this with our clients, but if you have a pen and piece of paper, right, we're going to be going over a lot of information. We're going to make sure we're timely and we're efficient. So get ready for it. But this is just something for you guys to assess as well. This is something that I like to call the personal development diagram. This is you, all right? And then this box here is going to be motivation, emotions, and purpose. You probably can't read that. I'll say it again. This box here is going to be motivation, emotions, and purpose. Okay. So I want you guys to fill this out, right? Why are we doing this? Why are we becoming engineers? Why are we working hard to really accomplish our goals and get from point A to point B? That's something I need you guys to analyze because that's just something that we're going to run through here. And I need to get your brains jogging and going because as we go through this presentation, you're going to learn about FormAWin, what we do, lots of other tips and tricks as an engineer, as an engineering student. This is applies for interns, students, engineers in general in the field, everyone all around. This is what this applies to. So this is super important because if you don't define this, then we're not really working towards something, right? So number one, again, we need motivation, emotions, and purpose. What is driving us? What is that force that's trying to make us get better, right? I'll just give you a few examples of something I put in, something that my clients have put in, right? Legacy, family, etc. The list can go on. There could be a lot of different reasons. Maybe you just want to build a bigger life for yourself. Maybe you just want to build a better life for yourself. Maybe that's why you got an engineer. Maybe you want to advance the space race. Maybe you want to prove that you can make an invention and innovate so high in such a high regard, like the great Elon Musk, right, and other engineers in the world. Maybe that's something that's motivating you, something driving you, but we need a purpose here. And then we identify goals, right? List out some of your goals. Whatever those goals are, list them out. That's all we're going to cover on the chalkboard here, but this is just something I need you guys to think about as we're going through this because this is you. This is the personal development diagram. This is you. We need purpose and we need goals. Without those and without this working in conjunction, one or the other is not going to happen, right? Because if we're doing this for family and we have a goal and they're not intertwined and we're not doing everything together, then it's not going to happen. And that's something a lot of people struggle with right off the get-go is interviews, not really connecting emotions and their purpose in their personal life to what they're doing, right? Because we should do what we love and we should work and we should love everything we do. So if that's true, then everything in our personal life should be connected with work or just rooted in some way, shape, or form. So let's get into the presentation because we're already a little off topic. But welcome to FormAWin, the school onboarding. We're going to be going over school in a little bit, but right now I just want to go over the game plan with you guys for today. So we're going to be going over who I am, what FormAWin does, tactical strategies for students and engineers, school plus the FormAWin breakdown. So we're going to talk about exactly what we do. School is our community, how to level up past your own limits, internships and career acceleration, and then there's a special bonus for those who joined school today. And this is going to be great for all of our current members as well. So stay tuned for that. But the big promise here that I'm going to give you guys is by the end of this, you will have a roadmap for your career. You will have this all identified, and you will have a path to get there and some tips and tricks along the way to apply now and your future self and challenges in the future. So I just want to make sure you guys are clear on that. That's the game plan for us right now. Let's go on ahead and get to the next slide. So why are you here, right? Maybe you're struggling to get a response from applications, maybe feeling lost of where to start, unsure how to get into interviews and stand out, because that's a big thing, right? And again, by the end of this, you'll have that roadmap. But with all of these reasons why you might be here, or why you're attending this, or why you're watching this, or why you're going to stick your way through, is all of these things. We're going to be covering this, but you have to understand that this is not a 1 second switch. This is not a okay, we're done and we switch and everything changes and everything moves, right? This is okay, today's the day that we change. Today's the day that we start taking in new information, and today's the day that we start experiencing more. And that's what this is about. This is what you need to really take into account, because all of these things that we're struggling with, there's solutions, but they're not going to happen overnight. We need to do them step by step in different ways and processes. And the only way to learn new information is to be around new people, learn the new information, or be around new environments, right? And then that's how we know what we don't know. And then we connect that to where we're at. And then that's how we level up. So that's going to be the big thing here. Just label down why you're here, though. There's something else that's not on this list. Write it down as you're taking notes. And we're going to move into the next part here. So me, Michael DeLeo, a lot of people know this. A lot of my clients know it, especially those that are watching, right? And for me, I'm a systems engineer at Lockheed Martin. I worked at Siemens Energy before, and I started FormAWin because I struggled throughout the whole school process to find an internship or really level up. And there's a lot of basic things that school offers you, like clubs and different associations and different programs. And, they try to help, and that's great. And we need to utilize school. However, I always wanted a mentor. I always wanted someone to really pour into me and give me everything that they had to help me accomplish my goals, because I knew there's so much that I don't know. And in order to find out what I knew, I just wanted a coach. I wanted someone to be there. So that's why I started this, because I've worked with a lot of mentors myself. But then, I never got everything I wanted. I wanted to work one on one with someone. I wanted to really make an impact and be obsessed with my career and my passion and everything I'm doing. And that's why I started this, because that's that one side of it. But there's also the tactical side of actually how to network, strategize, build relationships, and really run through it. And that's just the key thing here. So you guys need to really just take into account all of that stuff that you're going through, I went through, our coaches went through. And that's why I started it, right? Because the struggle is real and we all know that. But just moving forward and moving past that, how do we find solutions? How do we overcome why we're here? How do we start moving forward? FormAWin is the way. Let's go ahead and move into the next slide. So right off the get-go, I definitely want to start with our core values. These are the FormAWin core values. We always add more to improve, because that's something else we believe into: personal development, constantly improving, and we need to do it. Let's start with relentless execution. So this is just something that we live by, and it's part of FormAWin. We really believe in exceeding, being a leader, and excelling in all that we do. So as a leader and as we pursue excellence, one of our core values within is to relentlessly execute. And that means on a day-to-day basis, no matter what we're doing, pushing past the limits, pushing past everything that we're doing in order to accomplish our goals, not getting held up by setbacks. And something, a real application maybe in the workplaces, if someone says no, or you're trying to get something out the door, or you're trying to move something or move the needle forward for your business or whatever area it is, and there's a roadblock. We don't sit back and wait for something to happen. We make it happen, right? So we relentlessly execute. There's no excuses there. Extreme ownership, 100% responsibility. This could be a great skill. This could be a bad skill. I'll let you all interpret it. But whenever there's an issue, I immediately want to take ownership, even if it's not my problem necessarily, but maybe I'm in the same room, because I'm always wanting to take responsibility. I always want to make the place better. I always want to own things, and I always want to progress the needle forward and improve the business I'm with, improve the company I'm with. And for you guys, I mean, that might just be 100% responsibility. Something I used to do, which I had to overcome. And when I overcame this, a lot changed. A lot changes for our students too. When you're working on a project, if there's an issue with it and you have a big place in it, right? And then you meet as a group and that part that you had didn't follow through, instead of blaming others around you, just completely own it. That's how you start applying this core value. And this is something that we truly believe in. Uncompromising integrity. Everything we do is right. Everything we push for is to make the right connections, the right environment, the right students. Everything we want is to progress forward life, everyone around us, and we need to be positive. That's the big thing here. And we take that to heart. Do what's right always. Transparency, honesty, follow through. We do that. That's one of our core values. And you just have to apply that, right? As we're going through this list, I want you guys to identify some that you resonate with. And then if you do resonate with it, you might share a lot of values of FormAWin, right? But these are just things that you should live by as well, regardless of the situation. But the next one is adapt, overcome, and dominate. This is a little similar, right? And we kind of talked about this, just making it work. Find a way to make it happen. Don't make excuses. And we just make it happen and we dominate. That's how we beat the competition. That's how we grow. That's how we develop. And that's how we become a leader. And the relentless standard, this is another one. No mediocrity. Details matter, right? If you're going to a shopping center, are you putting carts back? Are you, cleaning up after yourself in the bathroom? Are you cleaning up after you eat, right? That's the standard. And that's what we need to live by. Build, serve, and impact. We don't just help students, we create high performers in any industry, especially in engineering, STEM. All of this is the key focus because we need to really just build this up, set the standard, and set it higher because there's a lot of places in the workforce, there's a lot of places around that don't have that standard. And in order for us to do that, we need to apply these core values in everything that we teach and we help our students with. And then once you start leveling up, increasing the standard, increasing the culture, that's when positivity happens. That's when it's fun. And then that's when you have more impact as well. So that's one of our core values. And the last one is family and team. There's nothing more important to me than my clients, my team, my wife, my family. All of this is really what's rooted. So that's a big one in here for me at the bottom of this box here. That's my purpose. That's my motivation. If we can build an awesome culture and an awesome company around this and grow together, that's what matters. So you guys too, you need to find a culture that you're a part of, take heart in it, put your all into it because you're going to get the most out of it that way. Last is we outwork, outlearn, and out execute. That is how we win. That is how we form a win. Now, let's talk about how FormAWin helps students. So this is our 4-step process. There's a lot of steps involved in this where we work through with our clients. But for you guys kind of learning about this and writing this down, you guys can assess yourself, right? One of the coaches that I work with, one of their best advice, I mean, they're millionaires. They've started a bunch of companies before, and I really value what they say because they've accomplished a lot. And what they say is, your best coach is yourself. So everyone in this call and everyone watching this, you need to assess yourself, right? If you were your own coach, what would you tell you to do? If there was another student, if there was someone else in your situation and they were coming to you for advice, what would you tell them to do, right? So as we go through this 4-step process, think about what area you might need to reassess or look at and figure out and apply to your life, right? Because then you write that down, you start taking action, you start changing, you go form a win. So number one is needs assessment. With all of our students, what we do is we do a reverse engineering process to figure out exactly where you want to get to and how to get there. So this is super key for everything that you do and everything that you want to accomplish, right? If you, again, don't have that goal and we don't have that specifically lined up and we can't figure out the steps to get there, right? So we need to start there, reverse engineer it, figure out who has accomplished that stuff before, how they've handled situations before, and figure out how to navigate that, right? So for you, that might be finding a position at a company, right? Or finding an internship, whatever stage of the game you're at. Or if you're in a company, maybe getting promoted or working harder or leveling up to the next position or transitioning, right? You need to identify that and then start reverse engineering what others have done in your position to get where you want to get to. And then that's how we start developing our execution phase, which is really diving into that. But then the grind begins with that too, because now we have a game plan. We develop a list of things that we need to do. We develop an action list. And then from there, we start acting on it. We start working weekly. And then my clients, we check in weekly. We do strategy calls. We really strategize every movement with this because that's where it's key too. And we hold you accountable. So you need to hold yourself accountable, set up some standards, set up some KPIs in order to track your progress. And then once we get to the goal or the next project or just whatever the next step is, we raise the standard, we set excellence. If you're in the workplace right now, if you're around coworkers, if you're in a culture, right? Maybe it's the best culture in the world, and that's great, that's good. But whatever other cultures it's part of, let's identify you and everyone else around you, right? What's the standard? Do people come in a few minutes late? Is it okay? Do a few people not take care of themselves? Is it okay? Does everyone dress super professionally? What's the standard? And then work too. Does everyone produce 9 out of 10 quality work, or is it 3 out of 10? Whatever it is, raise the notch one, raise the notch two, raise the notch three, whatever you can manage. Raise the notch and set the standard. Lead by example. That's step 3. Next, revolution, repeating this process over and over again. So you can rewatch this, look at your notes again, no matter what the goal is, right? Let's say we, in the needs assessment, identify a goal and there's a 20-step process. After we get to step 3, we can come back here and reassess, right? That's the beauty of this. So hope you guys learned a lot from that. We have a bunch more to go over, but the next one is going to be the basics that every student needs. And then feel free to drop questions down below or just let me know, reach out to me, let me know if you have any questions. But for the basics that everyone needs to master, this is something that we have to overcome with our students. And you might be in a similar position where, you're focused on all of this stuff, elevator pitch, resume, interview prep, all of that stuff is basics you need to overcome no matter what. And everyone spends so much time on this and making this the jewel or just the prize or just what Once this stuff is solved, then you'll be good. Then we'll be clear, right? And I get that because I was that same way. I didn't think my resume was good enough. I didn't think that I was good at interviews. I thought, okay, I have to do 100 mock interviews and then I'll get better, which is kind of true. You do need to practice to make perfect. But again, this is not what's going to glorify and really guarantee you a job. This is just something that we need to do because if you do this and other students don't focus on this or they don't have as good of the skills or as good of a resume, then sure, you might earn the position. But again, there's another level to this. We'll cover that on the next slide. But just think about the analogy like this, right? If you're going to school, your degree is an entry criteria to get your engineering job, right? Think about it like this too. If we don't have this stuff, resume, interview, and all this stuff labeled out and ready to go, then we're not going to get to the interview anyway, right? Like we're not going to be able to get the job anyway. So it's the same equivalent of a degree because that's not going to guarantee you a job, just like this is not going to guarantee you a job, but it's a preliminary requirement to go apply to the job and get a position anyway, right? So we just need to make this basic and we just have to say, okay, like this is part of our life. We're good at this. We're in practice, but this is not a big deal, right? Elevator pitch, how you introduce yourself in 30 seconds. The big thing that I was talking about earlier too, especially when you go to these interviews and things like that, get technical, get tactical, but at the same time, again, I mean, we're humans, right? We're all doing this for a purpose. Otherwise, we would just volunteer, not get paid, and live out on the streets, right? So we obviously want to provide for our family. We obviously want to build a life, okay? And then with that said, we should tie in some kind of family integration to everyone that we're talking to, because that is what truly matters. We don't have to get super detailed, but there should be something where, oh yeah, I have a family and I'm doing this because I want to support them, et cetera. Or, there's some level of that that needs to be talked about with everyone you talk about so that you can relate to them, humanize with them, and then that helps with networking as well. Because then that ultimately, again, feeds this, right? If someone talks to you and they say, okay, their goal is to do X, Y, and Z in the industry, and they don't have any root or connected in their family life, and if you ask them about their family life, they're like, oh, well, I don't really want to talk about that. I get it, but at the same time, I don't get it because then they're just so distant from their family. I know that they don't have their support system at home, right? Or there's something missing there. So they might not be a great candidate because of that. Whereas if everyone has somewhat of a good family connection or there's something to bring up there, then that makes you a better candidate. So that's an easy interview tactical tip that we give our students too. But how you work through that, how you strategize that, what you want to say, that's where, tactical strategizing and optimizing comes from. But elevator pitch, make sure you have that in there. Resume and LinkedIn, you need a personal brand. Not going to say too much about that. You just need a personal brand to keep it simple, right? Because you just need to be on LinkedIn. You need to build a presence, and that's also how you leverage your network at a later point in life. Resume, you need a clean cut resume. There's a few ways to go about this too. I'll be honest with you. For me, when I was first making my resume, I mean, I just wanted to break the norm, and that's just a natural thing that I like doing, right? If someone says to do something, I almost like doing the opposite. So when someone said to just have a cookie cutter resume, no pictures, no nothing, it has to be bullet points and just write. I was like, all right, I mean, I get it, but that's not me. So then what I did is I made a resume with a picture on it. I had my favorite quote on it. I had some other goals outside of engineering on it. I just made this like my whole personal biography almost. And that actually led me to my first internship, right? So that's funny enough. And the reason that it did is because it caught their attention. It caught their eye. They were like, well, I like the picture and I like what you have on there. And I mean, we want to give you an interview. Then I proceeded to the interview and then I was technically proficient and I was tactically proficient. But that got me in the door, right? So that's the big thing too. That's something to consider. It just depends where you're applying to, who you talk to, and how it works, right? So with the resume, you need your cookie cutter one, but you also need something that's you. You need to be you, and that's how you're gonna get hired. Next one is interview prep. Obviously, interview prep, but the big thing with this too is maybe just going to talk to people. A big thing that I believe in is not preparing for interviews. I've never prepared for an interview. I've never sat there and like crammed for hours trying to study or prepare. Or the best thing that I've done to prepare is work out in the morning or just make sure I pack my stuff in the morning or, stop procrastinating some assignments, right? Because if you finish assignments the night before, that's going to build your confidence for the interview the next day. That's going to make you feel good. You're going to go in there, you're going to crush it, right? And at some point, this becomes a quantity based thing. But if you go to each interview, they give you feedback, right? You need to apply it. Sometimes it's bad feedback. Maybe it just wasn't a good fit and it's not even you, and I won't even worry about it, right? Sometimes it is good feedback. And then you go apply it, you keep learning, you keep growing, and that's how this happens, right? So practice does make perfect, but at the same time, I don't believe in going and preparing for it, right? Because I'm not preparing to be someone else. I'm already doing all the work. I'm studying, I'm grinding, I'm doing everything. I'm passionate about this. I'm rooted in my purpose. I'm rooted in everything. So I know exactly why I'm here. I know exactly what I deserve and where I want to be, right? So there's no difference. There's no questions. There's no, how do I get there? What do I do? Oh, I'm kind of uncertain. I kind of like this job. I just wanted to show for the interview a little bit. You know what I mean? No, no. I'm here. My name is Michael DeLeo. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to accomplish this. End the story. Networking follow-ups. Not going to get into too in depth with this, but with our clients, we strategize how to actually follow up. But 90% of the people don't follow up. So if you just follow up, you're already beating everyone. Follow up with every single person you talk to, recruiters, people you meet at conferences, your classmates, everyone. I guarantee a lot of people don't communicate with their classmates, and that's fine if it's high school, right? Because it is what it is, and that's kind of how that happens. But at the same time, in college, every classmate I would be noting down, I would be following up with, I would be building a relationship with, LinkedIn, personal brand connection, referrals, etc. Right? That's how you start growing, getting more offers, and progressing. So there's a lot of tips there. Analyze where, and the big thing here too, I'll kind of add in is analyze where you're at in your situation, right? Maybe you don't have a resume right now. You need to go make a resume. Or maybe you have a lot of contacts and you have the resume, you have the interview, but maybe that's the missing link, right? I'm talking to everyone, but you need to find that one key thing that applies to you, go apply it, and then everything's gonna change. So now that's the basic stuff. Now we're going to talk into the major focus areas of top performers, right? Because there's a difference between the 90% and then the 10%. If you get everything that on the last slide, the basics that we talked about, you're already in the top 10% of students, engineers, interns, etc. Right? Now, how to get into the top 1%. That's how this happens. Strategy, applying with intent, not randomly. That goes with applications, but this also goes with absolutely anything in your life, right? If you start going out, you start going to the gym. Let's just take that for example. You start going to work after that, or you start going to class. And each one of these things, you go get coffee at a coffee shop. Everything is with intent. At the coffee shop, you're building rapport with the person at the register. At the gym, you're building rapport with the people at the front desk or the other ones that you're working out with. Or at your class, you're building rapport with the teacher and everyone around you. Or you're tactically planning out how to study and how to really manipulate the tactical, technical side of what you're doing in work. You're preparing yourself for down the road. If you get an assignment and you know that maybe a few months from now that could help out in some way, shape, or form, you're planning in advance to really remember it, bring something up. So the point here is that you're preparing and strategizing, but you're also doing everything with intent. You need to apply a strategy that's unique for you, of course, because not everyone is going to be able to do the same thing. But that unique strategy for you, how you really manipulate everything and tactically plan everything. But at the end of the day, again, you just need to be intentful with everything you're doing. If you're doing a project, maybe you multitask it with a competition where it's the same project, or a scholarship and it's the same project, multiple things at the same time, right? That's a strategy. There's plenty of strategies, but you need to have a unique strategy. That's the main thing I want you guys to get out of that bullet point. Next thing is relationship building, right? How do you build relationships? We network, we go network, but how do we build relationships? Again, we focus on this with our clients, of course, but how you do that, there's different ways. Again, everyone is different, everyone is unique. So how to really pull that out and find a way to do that for yourself, that's tricky. That's a hard thing to do. And I understand it because I went through this a lot. I always, went to go talk to engineers or classmates, and honestly, I always wanted something out of them, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what we kind of wanted to do, or the opposite side of it, I was just going to have fun. It was never somewhere in the middle, right? That's when I started applying strategy. Instead of going there and talking to a mentor on the first call and then saying, "Hey, I want an internship," right? I built relationships over time instead of just doing that. Or if I was just going to I went on a private NASA trip before as part of AIAA, and when I went there, there wasn't much intent there. I just went there for fun, right? Whereas if I went there with intent and really kind of planned everything out and had fun at the same time, that's how we elevate our life. I applied that later on with different situations, but that's just one example. And then maximizing income, salary negotiation, and career growth, right? Again, the big thing here is if everyone said, okay, for the rest of your life, you would volunteer, you wouldn't get paid, and it is what it is. We're not taking care of our family. We're not building a legacy, right? And as part of FormAWin, it's important to be a leader and perform with excellence. So maximizing income means working as hard as you can work because hard workers do get reward. You get paid on your performance in some situations, right? So that's where this comes in, maximizing income. You need to maximize your personal development, and then you'll get paid what you're worth. That's what it comes down to. Next thing is beating the competition, outworking and out networking others. You need to analyze your circle. You need to analyze your school. You need to analyze people that have gotten a position before you. If 10 engineers you talk to have gotten the position that you want, find what they did and then outwork them a little bit. Again, setting the bar higher. Maybe that's point number 3, right, in our 4-step process. But that's it, guys, for the major thing. But now we're going to get into Intern Accelerator. So maybe you have an internship. Maybe you're preparing for an internship. So this is a really huge thing as well. I see so many interns struggle. I've known interns that struggle in companies, and I get it because you're just starting out in your career, so you don't know, and maybe some of the other engineers don't want to have the time sit there and coach you, whereas you need a coach to really sit down and break down what's happening and go through it. And not a lot of people spend a lot of time on this, and some people get it instantly, they click, they grow, and that's great. But sometimes we need to really just push forward, strategize, and optimize. So I'm going to kind of teach you guys how to proactively grow in your internship and how to find your first internship as well. So The big thing here is target the right companies. Don't just randomly apply, right? Because I did this for a while too. I did this so much. I applied to so many things randomly all the time, 10 a day, and that was great, but I didn't even look at the postings, right? So if you're doing that and just hoping like, okay, well, I applied to 10 a day, so I'm doing more than everyone else. No, it's not going to work like that. So then I started networking, right? So that's how you land the internship. You need to go find somewhere specific that you want to get to and strategize. Maybe something I almost did before I got my second internship was I was going to also go work at a contracting company to do some manufacturing work, but that contracting company was down here. And then from there, my game plan was, okay, well, if I outperform everyone and work really hard, they're going to notice me. So then that way, once I'm ready to get an engineering position outside of the manufacturing, it's going to be ready because I earned it, right? That's a strategy right there. You guys can, every single person can go do that. Now, next thing is going to be LinkedIn for referrals and insider access, right? Network is everything. Your network is your net worth. LinkedIn is a massive network. So many engineers on there, so many STEM people on there, so many people in the industry that you're going to connect with, you're going to work with, and you need to use that as a tool. We talk about that a lot here, but how do you accelerate getting your internship? How do you do that? Well, you do it on LinkedIn. You do it in person. You do it in all areas. One of the biggest things, though, again, one of my coaches had taught me is for social media. How do you grow your social media? Should you target one social media and that's your main platform, or should you, right? The answer is to hit all areas, right? Because you're going to attract different people, you're going to attract different opportunities. You need to be prepared for the opportunities. But same thing with this, LinkedIn, in person, everything that's going to really build the connections. And you need to think long term with this as well, because that's how you get insider access. If you build a connection with an engineer over the next 3 years and you're talking with them, as opposed to just asking them for an internship right off the get-go, they might have some insider access down the road. Maybe you have an internship before you even get acquainted with them. And then as you're doing that, then they're like, oh, hey, I got this senior opportunity over here. Then you're ready to make the jump. That's how you start making these things happen. Again, showcase projects and leadership skills. You need to do that. This is the part where if you're active in all that you do, this is a big thing too to accelerate all this. If you're active in all that you do with your projects and everything else in your leadership positions and you're super active, you love it, you're doing it, you're connected and you're wise here, then you shouldn't have to prepare to be someone else in an interview, right? So if you showcase this and you're active all the time, posting on LinkedIn, doing all this fun stuff, it just makes it easy. Follow up and stand out. We already talked about that a little bit, but something else I wanted to kind of touch on with internships is while you're in an internship, how do you operate? Everything we went through for how to get your first internship, you can do while you're in your internship, right? Because it's just different brackets. You have one bracket here. This is from student to your first internship. And then we have intern to your next full-time position and then full-time to your next position, where you need to play the same game. You need to use the company's social media. You need to build connections. You need to network. You need to make opportunities. You need to do extra. It's just a round two of the same kind of thing, but in a different fashion. And also, how do you hit the ground running? You don't know what you don't know. So again, you need to get around different people, get around new experiences, and get around the right environment, right? So like that's the biggest thing. And then once you start growing, then you start knowing what you don't know, then you start applying different skills. That's how you start preparing and growing in an internship, especially, and getting one as well. So that's just some key things you guys can kind of go back. Let me know if you have questions, of course, but I mean, there's plenty to go through with this, and everyone is unique. So I'm hoping that you can kind of take a lot out of this, apply it, and then go from there. So I mean, that's the biggest thing I can give you guys. Next thing is going to be maximizing income and opportunities. Again, this is the big thing. A lot of people struggle with this. The only way to grow and push beyond beliefs is to, sometimes take risk, make a little more money to take those risks, and then you take bigger risks, then you start growing even more, right? And then once you're in an engineering job and you're making, a decent income to support your family and grow, that's great. But at the same time, you had to take risks to get there too, right? You went into how many hundreds of thousands to get into school. So like that, so I mean, that's a major risk right there, right? Because again, as many of you probably have realized, it's not that easy to get an internship or a full-time job. And if it is, great, but it's not. So then that's a risk, right? So then you got to bet on yourself and do that. And that think about doing that, okay? And then the results it's producing for those of you that have an engineering job watching this or an internship, think about the results it's producing for you, right? That big risk that wasn't guaranteed that you were maybe going to follow through or hopefully get through and hopefully pass and hopefully, I mean, we could say hopefully 1,000 times in that situation, right? Think about the result that produced. That's not something you should stop. That's not something that stops after school. And so many people treat this full-time job or this internship as the end goal, right? So the point of this is income growth beyond engineering. You need to keep taking risks outside of this and keep growing and keep personally developing, because personal development is not something you do while you're in school, then outside of school, that's it, you live a comfortable life forever. It's something you need to do today, tomorrow, and for the rest of your life. And then that's how you start becoming a leader. That's how you start becoming excellent. And that's how you start growing in your industry. That's how I've gotten promotions quicker. That's how I've grown quicker. That's how I've leveraged opportunities quicker. That's how I've met new people like the CEO of the Science Center. That's how I've done better things. And that's how I'm going to keep growing. And that's how we're going to keep growing. And that's how you need to keep growing. And that's it. That's it. But again, you're not limited to just traditional engineering jobs. Big tip here is a lot of you study your majors and you think you're going to work in your major right when you graduate. And I thought the same thing until I found out that there's not some specific, just my major title for the engineering job, right? So you're not necessarily limited to just traditional engineering jobs. I almost went into a sales engineering job, which could have been a great opportunity. And there's so many different other engineering jobs. My time at Siemens, I worked in a startup environment, me and just the founder. I can't talk too much about everything in there, but it was just us two grinding out, making this platform come alive. And I mean that's not something that I thought I was going to be doing studying aerospace, right? So same thing for you. I would try to open your mindset and you'll start opening your mindset again. I'm going to keep saying you need to get around new people, new information, better experiences, right? So that's how you start learning more about the world. And then that's why this goes beyond just engineering and besides just getting a job. And something else too to grow your resume, to grow yourself, to get more income so you can start taking more risk is side hustles, consulting, entrepreneurship, whatever you guys are passionate about, you can do at the same time as all of this, right? And if you do that, you're growing, right? And if not, and you want to go crazy with engineering, then maybe you invest a little bit more time. A big thing that I did as an intern is I was limited to working 25 hours a week. I would always put an extra 5 to 10 hours in, not paid. Okay. So I mean, that might be uncomfortable for a lot of people, but I knew if I did that, I would produce a better product and that would put me in a better position. Right. So if you guys do that, or you take some risks like that, or you start doing different things like that, or get another hustle or whatever it is, that's how you start growing. And then investing in your skills that increase your market value, same thing. All this extra stuff, all this personal development, all this growing, all these tactical strategies we went through, you need to start investing like that to grow. Okay. And then that's how you get paid what you're worth. Leveraging opportunities, network with professionals going beyond engineering, sales, everything, build multiple streams of income too. The thing with that is you need to get your first job, but not a lot of people prepare for that too, right? I've had a whole plan leading up to this, like, okay, we're gonna go here, we're gonna move here, we're gonna open up an office, we're gonna do this and that, we're gonna grow, and like you need to start thinking like that. I know it's like, okay, I need to get through school, I need to pass classes, I'm so stressed out. And I was too, and I get it. But I wish back then someone told me and could hold my hand a little bit and say, listen, this is what you do. You grow here, try this, try that, and go try it for yourself. And that's what I'm telling you right now. Try everything we've gone through. Start trying to be expanding of yourself. Start getting in uncomfortable situations. And then that's how you're going to really grow. Now, we got one more talk, then we're going to get into the school community. So, for the school community, but mindset for success. Growth versus fixed mindset. A lot of people talk about this. Schools talk about this. Companies talk about this. But what does this actually mean? So here's how I perceive it. We have a fixed and growth mindset. Fix is you're fixing, you're locked in your ideas and that's it. And growth is being open to new ideas. Okay. Obviously. Now, I would take this a step further and say, well, you might be open to new ideas and that's your fixed mindset. Maybe you kind of graduated past just being locked in and now you're growing and thinking, right? And now you're thinking. So that's fixed now. Okay. Growth is actually taking action and going to change. Process that, write down where areas you might need to grow, change, and do different things like that. And then you'll start really adapting a better mindset and you'll start learning more too. Building resilience. So this is a big thing as well. A lot of us get rejected. I mean, I got rejected too, especially going through internships and just running through applications, full-time jobs, applying. I got like 20 rejected letters, right? And I mean, it's hard. It's hard. But as you do that, you start building up the muscle, you start building up the scar tissue, especially when you go in the gym. And then as you surround yourself with the right people, high performers, then you're going to start being like them. If you're around 27 ice cream truck people, you're going to learn about ice cream, right? If you're around 27 high performers and 27 engineering CEOs, you're going to be bound to be the next one, right? Building resilience is all about that. And then we've talked about this as a core value, executing with confidence. But the confidence comes from the daily things that you do on a day-to-day basis to make sure that you don't have to prepare for an interview or to make sure that you are confident, and that's how you execute. So, guys, that's the major stuff. I hope you all got a lot out of that. But now we're going to get into the school community. Okay, I'm going to walk through it, but the special announcement, which is on the screen now, is going to be if you join the school community, you're going to get a free resume review, but you're also going to get a free one of those picture resumes I'm talking, right? So you're going to get two things completely free. Got you guys, because again, that's the big thing. That's opening the door, but then you need to put in the work and do everything else. As part of the school community, we're going to be having calls. We're growing this from the ground up. There's so many different things in there. So I'm going to show you guys what that looks like. Let me go ahead and get to my screen. Okay. All right, so you guys should be able to see that. Let me confirm on my end. We should be good. Okay, so now this is the school community, right? So this is how it works. We have our community, and then we have our classroom, calendar, members, leaderboards, about. So the community is where you really actively post. Okay, we have all of our students in here going crazy, posting everything, introducing themselves to, as well as our coaches. We work with awesome coaches as well. Love every single one of them. They're great, and they really embody all these core values. And then you would make a post in here, and then this is some different categories you can post in: career fair strategies, resume applications, fitness performance, win success stories, insider resources. So we're building this up to have lots of different resources for you guys to leverage, but also network and then kind of talk through with other students. And it's going to be at a different level because sometimes it's political where you go talk with other students. We'll talk about internships and opportunities where here is promoted because we need to network, we need to socialize, we need to push each other, and we need to grow. So this is the big thing here too. We set the standard and we expect that of all of our students. We don't accept everyone. So that's one thing. But then the classroom, this is going to be growing rapidly. This is really the basic stages, but we got a file vault full of awesome stuff. We have an interview preparation sheet in there. We have high consulting call recordings. That's for our one-on-one clients. And then there's going to be the ultimate intern playbook coming soon, personal branding, postgraduate intern. You'll have the opportunity to join the team as well. We're coming out with new courses each month. There's going to be plenty of things. And we have the calls lined up here. After this call, we have a special Q&A. So for anyone watching, you guys can come in and then watch the Q&A there. But outside of that, we have our members. All of our members are here. We have our leaderboards. So this is where you can track your leaderboards or your status to see how active you are. And in short summary, that's the school community. There's going to be plenty more we add into it, right? But that's just an overview. School is a great platform. A lot of my coaches have school too. And I mean, it's just a really great benefit for everyone, especially being part of a high community. So everyone, that is the school onboarding. I'm checking the chat to see if there's any questions, but again, we're gonna have a live Q&A afterwards at 6:30. Hoping everyone got a lot of value out of this. You learned a lot because you guys need to apply everything we talked about. Maybe go rewatch this video. It'll be posted up, and then you guys can just keep growing, sharing, and living life. That's really it. Does anyone have anything before we drop off here? Any other questions or anything quick that you guys want to go over? If not, we'll go on ahead and I'm gonna wait for this to catch up. Give it a second. I'll dance a little bit. All right, guys. Well, listen, we're gonna end it. Go join the school community if you haven't seen it. There's gonna be plenty more stuff coming out, and I'll see y'all later. Hope you guys got a lot out of this. Bye.